What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And welcome to our show today. It is Wednesday, September 30th, 2020, middle of the weekday, hump day, last day of the month of September, starting that long, slow glide down to Pow on a Friday. We have a lot to talk about today. My talking points list is really full, and we're going to try and get through as much of it as we can before we open up the phone lines here, because I can imagine all of you are going to want to be talking about last night's presidential debate. Everybody tuned on in expecting fireworks, and what we got was a dumpster fire that Chris Wallace was not able to really deal with all that well. So it's kind of hard to say who won. A lot of people are saying nobody won. Others are saying that Donald Trump won, Chris Wallace came in second, and Joe Biden came in third. So let's get right on into it. Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials, keeping us out of trouble. So Donald Trump and Joe Biden basically shouted over each other, insulted each other, and Chris Wallace just lost control of it. And so Wallace really was not doing a good job as a moderator, and he's already come under some criticism for that. And what was really kind of weird, showing his bias there, is Chris Wallace started debating Trump in the first 15 minutes. And Trump actually came out and said, "I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay." So Chris Wallace is facing a backlash, including from his colleagues, over his obvious bias during the debate, which we knew that was going to be an issue when they announced the moderators. All of them are pro-Biden, anti-Trump. And now there is a growing call for Joe Rogan to moderate the next two presidential debates, following the debacle that Chris Wallace left in his wake here. Basically, Wallace's moderation left a lot to be desired. Critics renewing calls for podcaster comedian Joe Rogan to handle the upcoming event between Donald Trump and rival Joe Biden. Minutes after Tuesday night's debacle ended, let's use the correct word, Rogan's name was trending on Twitter, with supporters saying he could have handled the night's proceedings far better than Wallace. Okay, even Claire could have done a better job than Mike Wallace did on that one. Than Chris Wallace, rather. People are pointing to one particular moment where they think that Joe Biden really did himself a lot of damage. Chris Wallace asked him, "Have you called the Portland mayor or Oregon governor to stop the violence?" And Joe Biden replied, "I don't hold public office now." So a lot of people are saying that was the moment Biden lost the debate. The pivotal moment of Tuesday night's debate was when Joe Biden was asked if he called Portland mayor or Oregon governor and told him to stop the violence. Joe Biden admitted that moment he's not a leader. He's not up for the job of president, and he is blind to the violence or afraid to speak out about it. All righty. Joe Biden tells Chris Wallace he does not support the Green New Deal, but that's not what it says on his website. So right there was an issue. Now, interestingly enough, over at the Drudge Report, normally they will run post-debate polls. They've been doing it for years. Last night, they did not do so. And I think the reason for that was pretty obvious. We ran our own poll here at whatreallyhappened.com. And as of the last time I checked, 89% of respondents said that Donald Trump won, and 11% said that Joe Biden won. Apparently, over at Telemundo, Hispanic voters polls show Trump at 66% and Biden at 34%. Now, over at CNN, they were asking undecided voters who won the debate, and only one person raised their hand for Joe Biden. So it did not do well at all for Joe Biden last night. I don't think it did all that well for Donald Trump. He didn't come across as presidential. We were expecting a little more dignity from both of the debaters. And I don't know who did Donald Trump's makeup and hair for the debate last night, but I suspect it may have been the same guy who did Richard Nixon's makeup when he debated John F. Kennedy, because Trump looked terrible on that stage. And I know that's going to work against him. Interesting little historical aspect about that Nixon-Kennedy debate. People who heard the debate on radio thought Nixon had won. People who watched it on TV thought Kennedy had won. That's how important this sort of thing really can be. Anyway, the media is calling for the upcoming debates to be canceled. They urge Biden to back out after this brawl with Trump. Biden's campaign manager is saying no, they will be there for the next 2 debates this coming month here. Now, Jerome Corsi is out there saying that Biden was given the debate questions in advance. And apparently he announced this during an interview on radio station KXEL. And it's a national radio station affiliated with Fox News Radio. Apparently Todd Starnes also had that same story, that Biden got the debate questions in advance. And I remember noticing when Chris Wallace was introducing the whole thing, how he made a point of saying, I wrote these questions and nobody has seen them but me. Like he just really wanted to reassert that. Interestingly enough, some eagle-eyed watchers spotted what looked like a wire poking out from underneath Joe Biden's coat. And another one said there's something that looks like an IV port in his wrist, and that was picked up by quite a few people here. All righty. All right, we're going to go ahead. The phone calls are already starting, so we're going to start taking phone calls. Kevin in West Virginia, aloha, what's on your mind?
Hello, Mr. Mike. I wanted to talk about the debate. I think Trump was a little too polished. I like the rawness of him from 2016. I think Biden, a lot of people were probably like, what drugs was he on? Things like that. I think he had a couple blood transfusions right before the debate to make him look plump like he was. I'm curious to hear your, what did you think?
I think Trump could have looked more presidential and more dignified. I mean, he's been president now for 3+ years. And frankly, given that the whole world was watching this, I think it came off as kind of a laughing stock, but nobody's going to laugh because we got nuclear weapons. But I don't think it served the American image abroad very well at all.
So I totally agree with what you're saying. I also think Chris Wallace, what an a-hole he is.
Yes.
Cutting Trump off like that. 35 times he
yes.
interrupted President Trump, something like along those lines. I mean, Why was it all about? To me, it seemed like it was all about Chris Wallace and what he could, what jabs could he take at Trump? It seemed like the debate was against him and Trump, and there was a bumbling idiot in the background just mumbling to himself, walking around on stage. But that's all I wanted to throw in there. I'm curious to hear everybody else's thoughts. Thank you for your time, sir.
All right, well, thank you very much here. I remember at one point I was watching, this was right to the very beginning of the debates, and they were talking about COVID-19, and Biden almost said 200 million people had died from it, but he corrected himself very quickly to 200,000. But it basically, to me, that was the beginning. That was showing that he really is not in command of facts or of his own faculties here. All righty, moving on to other aspects of our politics here. The Conservative Club for Growth is running ads urging voters to pressure Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski and Utah Senator Mitt Romney to support the confirmation of federal Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. The group launched TV and digital advertising in Alaska and Utah on last Tuesday, I guess, almost a week ago. The spots promote Barrett's qualification. No, I'm sorry, yesterday. The spots promote Barrett's qualifications and encourage voters in Alaska and Utah to call the offices of Murkowski and Romney and insist that Barrett be confirmed. This is still going to get very, very intense. And I noticed during last night's debate when they were talking about this, Joe Biden's sole argument was the people should choose, the people should choose. And Trump came back and said the people did choose. They elected a Trump presidency, and presidents serve for 4 years, and they get to pick the Supreme Court justices with the advice and consent of the United States Senate. And so this argument that the nomination should be held off until after the election is really very weak, but it's really all the Democrats have got to go on here. All righty. apparently a member of Joe Biden's presidential campaign staff said the standard beliefs of devout Christians, Muslims, and Jews, which consider homosexual acts sinful, should be disqualifiers for any potential U.S. Supreme Court justice. And so Biden staffer Nikita Rai said Monday night on Twitter, it will be a while before those types of beliefs are so taboo that they're disqualifiers. Well, let's see. If you disqualify the Christians, Muslims, and Orthodox Jews, there's not much left except us atheists. And I refuse to serve on the court. We're going to take another phone call from Paul in New Jersey. Hello, Paul. Welcome back to the show. What's on your mind?
Michael, I watched part of the debate, or as much as I could stomach.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is, they both comported themselves like adolescents.
Yes.
This was, high school debaters are more professional, more tactful, bring out a more cogent and cohesive argument. They don't interject and speak over other people. They don't snipe. We should be embarrassed by these two, like presidential candidates. We should be embarrassed for the state of cultural discourse in the sense, especially among, executive leaders.
Yes.
And just it's shameful, really, with Donald Trump. And by the way, it makes me very happy because I'm in the state of New Jersey and I have a mailing ballot, and I already mailed it in, and I didn't vote for either of them, and I'm very happy I didn't.
Okay.
Because this is the kind of thing that Donald Trump does. He creates his own problems for no reason by just being crass, verbally abusive, and rude. Because you just don't interject when somebody's got the floor. And so, both of them are just as equally horrible. And on that, I just wanted to mention that. There's one other topic I'd like to bring up with you.
Real quick.
I mean, yeah. Just about what's going on, the disgrace of American foreign policy. But when I heard that the Turkish F-16s coming out of, helping the Muslims of Azerbaijan were used to fight Russian fighter planes who are supplied by Russia for Christian Armenia. And so this is, again, another reason. People wonder why a guy like me didn't vote for Trump. It's because of that. It's our weapons and getting in the hands of radical Muslims. And now it seems like the United States, or at least Israel, we know, is going to side up with Azerbaijan and the Muslims.
Yes.
And so the history of just Christian persecution is happening right before our eyes. Donald Trump is overseeing this, or is he? And Pompeo definitely is.
Pompeo's definitely running that show.
And so it seems like it's like the United States is helping against the Armenians. That's what's happening here.
That
so
seems
either way,
it's unclear how much help is involved because Turkey bought those F-16s from the United States. The U.S. didn't give them.
I know but it's still American weaponry.
Yes.
In the hands of Muslims, right, fighting against Christians. And I generally, I'm an agnostic, but I prefer Christian civilization to Islamic civilization. And America's, and the West is historically Christian. So it's one of these instances where we're taking the wrong side again, or seem to be, or the weapons are ending up in the wrong hands again. And it's just, I've had it. I
can understand your frustration. I mean, would
it
feel better to know that the F-16s did shoot down one of the Sukhoi 25s?
No, that doesn't make me feel better because the Sukhoi 25s ended up in the hand of the Christian Armenians.
Yes.
See? And so I, in this case, as a sympathetic towards preferring Christianity as a lifestyle and as a religion, it's just I don't see, again, why America is, again, our weapons are ending up in the hands of Muslims. Either way, it's more of a reason why I'm not a Donald Trump supporter. And on that note, thank you, Michael.
All right, you've got it here. Boy, the phone lines are loaded up here. We're going to switch over to Don in Arizona. Hello, Don. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hello, Mike. Yeah, I didn't watch any of the debate. I can't stand that guy. What's his name? The moderator?
Chris Wallace.
Chris Wallace. Yeah, I wanted to say Chris Matthews. Chris Wallace. No, I can't stand the guy, so I didn't watch a minute of it, and I won't watch any of it. And why do they have to have a guy like that? Why can't they have somebody that people like? Nobody likes Chris Wallace, really. Chris Wallace. Nobody likes him.
No, they picked moderators who were going to be, pardon me, sympathetic to Joe Biden and hostile towards Donald Trump, and Chris Wallace certainly was last night.
Yeah. But he's repulsive. He's just a sniveling scumbag, with all due respect to him, I can't say anything good about him. I guess I better drop the subject completely because there's nothing anybody's going to say about him that's good, But
yeah,
the next time there's going to be the vice presidential debate, I'm looking at the schedule. That might be fairly interesting. Pence against Kamala.
Yes.
And then after that, there'll be two more presidential debates. So this was only the opening salvo. But
what I think we ought to have? I think we ought to have is a debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump because of the very real possibility that if Biden wins or steals the election in November, that Kamala Harris will wind up in the Oval Office after a year or so.
Right. Well, we all know they ought to have somebody that people like to be the moderator. That way they tune in. A good-looking woman. Well, they are going to have some women coming up here. I don't know if they're good-looking or not. But if they had Michelle Malky, if they had Joe Rogan, like he's talking about, he would like to do.
A lot of people talking about, Joe Rogan should be the moderator.
Joe Rogan is an interesting guy. People like him, and he's not totally partisan, I don't think so. But it could be also you. How about you? You'd be a good one, wouldn't you?
I'd like to hope I could be a moderator, but sometimes I have trouble dealing with Tom and Dustin and Miles.
You got experience.
So I don't know how good of a moderator I would be. I'd like to think I'm better than Chris Wallace.
You got experience in the field with your debates here on the radio show, Mike. Okay,
yes.
I'll let you go. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Peter in Los Angeles. Hello, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. I too think Chris Wallace is a travesty of a human being, frankly. They had to have the Jewish guy as the moderator.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, after 110 days now of rioting and looting
yes.
and burning and violence and all that, he harkens back to the Charlotte riots and talks about white supremacists.
Yeah, that one really bothered me.
He had to get that in. That's their narrative. And they had to sneak that in. And we all know that Charlotte was an Antifa thing itself.
Yes.
So that the media just didn't report on, just like they've been saying, mostly peaceful, all that kind of thing. But the other thing was, I really did, neither looked presidential, neither are presidential, let's face it. But I loved when Trump honed in on him about Hunter Biden. And two things. When he went in on Hunter Biden, and of course, old Joe started to lie, and at that point, he actually started to panic.
Yes.
And Trump let him off the hook, and Wallace let him off the hook. But the other time he did was when he said, "What you were right about? What did we? Did you make a call to Portland or to Minneapolis or the governor and the mayors? They're Democrats to say stop these this looting and violence, this months of violence." And he said, you said what he said. He weaseled out of it. And you're right. That's a good. And the one last thing was when also Chris Wallace, again, hearkening on the tribe agenda, said, "What about the critical race theory thing?" And I love that Trump didn't back down, and he didn't exactly full-throated, but listen, he's done something on it. I'll give him credit for that, and I do give him credit for that. But Trump said, "Look, they're teaching people to be unpatriotic." But I wish he would have come on stronger, saying, "Yes, if this had been about any group, it would be racist, and it's racist about these guys. Would you put your kindergartner in a multi-ethnic class and have everybody else being taught how evil he is? Nobody would do that, and it's not true.
Nobody would do that. Peter, stay on the line. We got to
Yeah.
take a break for commercials, and I'm going to come right back to you after these words from our sponsors. And welcome back to our show here. And a friendly reminder and a nudge in the ribs that Republic Broadcasting Network is still in the middle of a perpetual fundraiser. And a heartfelt thank you to those of you who have stepped up to the plate and donated to keep us doing what we're doing. The only way we're going to get the big money influence out of media is for the little money to unite together in the common cause of restoring our republic. So as a reminder, the postal address to send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity, cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. The network thanks you. Okay, we're talking with Peter in Los Angeles, and Peter, take it away. Peter, are you there? Okay, looks like we may have lost Peter. So let's go to Tim in Washington. Hello, Tim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, Mike. I just want to do always a great show. Listen, have you gotten a transcript of the debate last night? I only have 2 points, and I'll jump off the air. Did you get the transcript? I don't have a complete
transcript. I don't even have the overnight numbers as to how many people watched it. They were expecting 100 million. My instincts are telling me they didn't get that many.
Okay, well, if you go to rev.com or ev.com /blog/transcript, you'll get the actual exact wordage. I don't know who did it, but she did a wonderful job, even with the crosstalk and everything. But my 2 points are, number one, Mike, do you really want to go back to the debates that we used to have? Do you realize last night we had the most unusual debate we've ever had? I mean, it was the most revealing. The amount of subjects was like over 100. President Trump actually extracted more information from Biden than Chris Wallace did. He got him to basically say that he wouldn't commit to whether he would pack the court. He got him to admit that he wouldn't call in because that wasn't his job. He got him to admit so many things because of the crosstalk. I mean, I never want to go back to a debate that we had before after last night. Last night is what the American people wanted. That's the kind of thing we actually want to see. Forget the presidential stuff. Let them just break out Lincoln Douglas debate. Let them have bare knuckles. I mean, it was very revealing. And when you go to the transcript, you'll see it.
I'd pay to see that.
Right. Okay. Well, my second point is that who was actually more reflective of the American people last night? We've all been pent up for 8-9 months with this COVID-19. Half of us are depressed. We're frustrated. We're angry. And when President Trump got up on stage last night, he reflected that frustration, that anger. I mean, in a way, he reflected the mood of the country through this all this pent up. And so it was. I'll tell you, Mike. I want to see every debate like the one last night. I want to see it just like bloody. I mean, Joe Biden, he brought a little pocket knife, and then New York, Donald Trump, he broke out a 10-inch switchblade, and he just cut him to pieces. A bloodbath. That's what we want to see. Always a great show, Mike. I just thought I'd drop in. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Joe in Tennessee. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Well, I couldn't agree with the previous caller more. I mean, there's a reason why the media's out there saying, oh, no, we can't have debates like that anymore. And that's because how effective it was and how they really did kind of pull a lot of information out of one another. And that's something that the controlled media and the oligarchs and the powers that be really don't like. They don't want to actually have real debates. And yeah, it was a little ugly and a little like interruptive, but it was great. I mean, yeah, it's almost, my favorite debate before this was the Hillary Trump debate where they had the female rape victims of Bill Clinton. I think that kind of stuff is fantastic for the country. I think that, I'd give 3 kind of comments on the debate. I think Trump won on like the ideas portion of it, because then again, I agree with Trump. But I think by the other thing that how Trump really won was, a lot of the big things with like people saying they don't want to vote for Trump and they want to vote for Biden is, oh, Trump's so unpresidential and he's nasty and all this. Well, he made Biden. I mean, he did look kind of unpresidential with the interruptions, but so did Biden. So
Yes.
all this thing about how mean Trump is and, you know, how rude and brash, well, Biden was doing the same thing. So he kind of just equalized that whole advantage that Biden had out of it, you know. And he also made Biden separate from his radical base. I mean, you know, with the greenhouse stuff, and you know, there was a lot of times so I'm not socialist, and you know, he was like throwing Bernie over the side and AOC over the side. So of course Bernie and AOC aren't going to say anything, but a lot of their supporters are actually very principled. Of all the people in the Democratic Party that are principled, you know, people, I would say it is the left on the, you know, the far left. I give them credit because they're like the far right in that they're very principled people, and they're looking, you know. So Biden really showed, you know, he ran to the middle and he just left the left, and the only time he didn't like run to the
okay, Joe. Joe, I got to put you on hold. I got to put you on hold. Don't hang up. Okay, I'm going to come right back to you after these words from our sponsors. Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Joe in Tennessee. And Joe, if you could pick up where you left off.
Yeah, well, I was saying that Biden kind of made several mistakes, but I'll give him credit on one thing. I didn't think he'd do as well as he did. I mean, he didn't there was very little of the word salad mumbling Joe. And he stood up for 90 minutes and, you know, basically he looked a little like pale, but other than that, like he looked, you know, like he could be president, which so far I've never seen. So I thought it was going to be a lot worse I thought he was going to do a lot worse personally. So in that respect, I'd say for him, it was a success. And the problem with him is he does have the radical left who he kind of pissed off, I would think, from some of his answers. And he also pissed off the middle because he wouldn't like condemn violence and stuff with Antifa, and he gave some mealy-mouthed answers to that. And you know, to me, if you're going to anger the left, you know, you can anger them on that and gain on anything you're going to lose with the gaining from the middle, because that's really going to hurt him. You know, the law and order, the Antifa thing. And as far as Trump, his real weakness is this COVID thing. I mean, they're going to beat him over the head with this COVID thing, and it's a pretty hard thing for him to fight against. So you know, I know we all know his side of the story, but if you're mad about, you know, what's happened to COVID and losing your jobs or whatever, it's pretty easy to want to blame the president, and you know. So I thought in that respect, Biden had, you know, did pretty well on Trump. But altogether, I think Trump, you know, kind of cleaned his clock. And as far as, you know, once again, we get back to him splitting his base up and angering the people that put him there. And also by Trump bringing Biden down, making Biden act unpresidential, takes another big, you know, deciding factor when people decide who they're going to vote for. But I really don't think there's that many undecideds left in this election, to tell you the truth. I think people are, you know, if the debates are going to change your mind by now, I don't know. I think the biggest debate now is going to be Kamala Harris and Pence. That's because, you know, and enough of us know that Harris is going to end up being president. But, you know, Biden isn't going to last 4 years.
No,
so that's going to, and I think she's a real horror show. She's always looked bad in debates. You know, Tulsi Gabbard took a knife to her and cut her up. I mean, not that Tulsi isn't good. Tulsi is wonderful, as far as beautiful and a good debater. And so that's going to be the real interesting one now. But it was good, you know, as far as like getting like I said with that other caller, he's 100% right. These are what I like to see in debates. It wasn't that controlled. And that's what I like to see. I hate the controlled news media. I hate, you know, you get these moderators. It's like they want to be the big show themselves, and to let them like go at each other and bring up things about each other, I thought was wonderful.
Well, they're already talking about giving mic cutoff switches to the moderators for the two remaining debates. which would have gotten things. It's a little scary, and again, the moderators themselves are seeing themselves as the star of the presentation, and they're not supposed to be. I'll tell you the point where I think Biden did himself the worst damage was when he got up there and said, "I am the Democratic Party." That was a little too état de moi for me.
He says that, and then in the same breath or a little later, he says, well, who am I to call like these governors of other states? Well, if you're saying you're the titular head of the Democratic Party, why shouldn't you get up the phone and say, hey, do something about these riots? I was like trying to tell Trump to, hey, say that to him. Like, you're going to say you're the head of the Democratic Party, and then, I can't just call him, tell him to stop the riots, So in that respect, you can't play it both ways, Joe. But the problem is that he can say pretty much anything, and the media isn't going to call him on it. They're not going to call him on Hunter. None of his lies or exaggerations are going to be brought up by the media. So you need a debate like this for Trump to actually get his points out, because otherwise the average American doesn't really get a chance to see and hear these things.
Yes.
Most people don't even know about the Russia stuff and how Trump's been vindicated on Russia and how all these people, so during these debates, he's got 90 million people, half of them don't even know half of what he's been saying. So in that respect, all these debates are good for Trump, and they're bad for the establishment and the deep state, in my view.
Last night was good for Trump. There's no question about that. But my concern about the dignity and looking presidential is those are elements that lend strength to the person. And in sort of walking away from that, even though he was able to goad Biden into some serious missteps, to me, Trump came across as looking weaker than he needed to be.
Yeah, I personally was a little surprised by it. I was worried when I first started watching it. I was worried, more because I like Trump, and I thought, boy, he's being very aggressive. I wish he wouldn't interrupt. But then when Biden started doing it too, I realized I think he was tactically doing that. And if Biden would have just kept his cool, he would have won that debate, because but Biden fell right into it himself. He started interrupting. Yeah. He called him a clown. He told him to shut up. So in that respect, Trump actually got Biden, goaded him to what he wanted. It was pretty smart, if you ask me. But
yes.
Anyway, I'll let other people call, and thanks for having me, Mike.
You've got it. Thank you for the phone call. We're going to switch over to David in Boston. Hello, David. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Oh, yeah. Aloha, Michael. I just took my phone off speaker. Mike suggested that I do that. The only reason I would keep it on speaker is I have trouble hearing who I'm talking to. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, I can, and you're talking to Michael.
To Michael, yeah. And what did I say?
No, you said you had trouble understanding who you were talking to. I was trying to make a joke, and I failed miserably.
Oh, okay. Hey, Mike, I've been trying to, my brain won't quite download it, but you helped me yesterday with Boris Spassky. I had the Boris part, and you helped me with the Spassky. Now, who is that? As opposed to this Chris Wallace, there was a really nice gentleman. He was so appealing. He's just the nicest journalist, and he moderated some presidential debates a while back. And you have such a good memory with these media people, but all I can get is his first name was Bob. You know that nice man, that really nice
not
journalist.
Ringing a bell.
Sometimes he used to do, huh?
It's not ringing a bell.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Maybe if it comes to me, well, when I get off the phone, I'll fish around on my smartphone here, and then maybe tomorrow I'll have his name,
Okay.
But his first name was Bob. But anyways, Mike, then another thing I was going to comment on, Mike. I don't know, maybe a little bit of levity and everything. It's the last day of September.
Yes.
So that means that basically the beach days have gone bye-bye until
for this
next
year,
summer.
yes.
Yeah. So this is what I was thinking about. But so, you know, a lot of the ladies and the young ladies and everything, and I know we mostly have a male audience here, it seems like, but maybe some of the men back here in Massachusetts, down around P-Town, Provincetown or something, it might apply to them. But, you know, so these young ladies and everything, they're a little bit sad that they're going to have to put their bikinis away.
Yes.
And forget about them until next summer. But that's not so. And what I would like to suggest is we're entering into a new flu season. And, you know, I know they can't put their celestial bodies on display at the beach and everything. That's the bad news. But the good news is they can wear it as a face bikini. Don't put it away. Wear it as a face bikini.
Well, it would be just as effective as those face masks.
Yeah, right. You know. So anyways, but so Mike, you know, I watched the debate, and I don't have a television like a lot of us patriots. I can't stand it. I call it the toilet vision, or the image of the beast and everything. I don't have one. So I wound up watching the debate on InfoWars. Mm-hmm. And Alex Jones, just like he does with his guests all the time, he was stepping all over, you know, Trump and Biden and everything, calling Biden names. I couldn't even hear, you know, It was ridiculous. And he had a lady. She's a very appealing lady, a very sexy lady. I think that she's kind of new with Alex Jones, Lorena or something, and she's a lot of fun and everything. But they kept making their comments all during the debate and everything. And but Mike, I'll tell you something that really turns me off about Trump.
Yes.
And you know, this whole policy we have vis-a-vis Iran.
Yes.
That just turns me off so much, Mike, that, you know, Mike, that Iran, in ancient times it was actually called Aryan. A lot of these Americans, they don't realize it, but you know, it's actually a lot of people. I studied, I read some of E. Raymond Capp's books, and I read Tracking Our Ancestors, Tracing Our Ancestors by Frederick Haberman. I got that from up in northern Idaho. There, the ministry up there. America's Promise and everything. So Frederick Haberman, Tracing Our Ancestors, and then books that I got from Scriptures for America and from Jones, Pastor Jones. They've all passed away now, from New Mexico and everything. But evidently, Iran is like the cradle of the white race. And not only is it the cradle of the white race, but evidently it's the cradle of monotheism. The first monotheism was Zoroastrianism and Ahura Mazda and all that.
It was a duality religion. Zoroastrianism, they had their equivalent of a Satan as well as their god. I think it was
they had they had a Ahura Mazda, and then I think what is it, Manu or something, was that like the devil or something? But, But I don't know. You know, Michael Collins Piper hosted a revisionist meeting over there about the Holocaust and everything, and it was quite a conference and everything. And Michael Collins Piper was really impressed with Iran. And Michael Collins Piper used to point out that for these Catholics and everything that think they're supposed to hate Iran, that the Blessed Mother Virgin Mary is mentioned more in the Quran than she is in the Bible. And he talked about how he visited St. Mary's Square right in downtown Tehran and everything. And Mike, I'll just close by saying I think if I was president, I know I could make a really good ally out of Iran, and it would be a bullet against the communist world, against communist China, and against Vietnam. And even if we ever had hostilities with Russia again, Tehran would be a great ally to have. And I think it's totally insane So it reminds me of Madeleine Albright. I almost think if Trump had his way, with these sanctions and everything, if 1.5 million Iranian children died from lack of medicine and everything. I think Trump would say, if he was out, do you think it was worth it, Mr. President, that 1.5 million Iranian children have died because of your sanction? I think it's yeah, it's definitely worth it, you know? So that's what turns me off. It really turns me off more than anything else about a guy like Trump.
Well, it's not just Trump. I mean, it's our entire military-industrial complex. It's, it's the deep state. They're a bunch of warmongers. They're after Iran, and they still are, even though they're having to pull out of Afghanistan, and it looks like they're going to restart the Iraq war now. So it's just crazy because, we can't take on the entire world, even with nuclear weapons. And I think when World War III really gets going, the U.S. is going to lose.
Yeah, and Iran would have been a natural ally of the U.S. instead of making an enemy. And one little factor, Mike, and I'll get off, but and I know this isn't a religious show, but it goes back. Most of these hostilities have, ancient roots, and the thing with Israel and in Iran, it goes back to that damn book of Esther, which most Bible scholars believe it should be a non-canonical book. That book of Esther.
Yes.
With Haman and Esther and Haman and all that, and then they wound up under Queen Esther killing all the Jews. Killing all the people who were against the Jews.
Yes,
they went out and killed all the people. They still have that big festival. What's the big Jewish festival there? What's the name of the festival?
Off the top of my head. It's been, it's been a long time since my first wife, and I've forgotten a lot of that stuff. Purim?
That'll come to me in a minute too. But they have a whole. They actually eat something like Haman cookies.
David?
Huh?
David, is it Purim?
You gotta go.
No, I said, is it Purim?
Yeah, it is Purim, Mike.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to think of. Purim and everything, And but there's no reason in the world why we shouldn't be friends with Iran. And
no, there really isn't any reason. I think archaeologists think that the the location for the historical precedent for the Garden of Eden was located in Iran.
Yeah, exactly. In ancient times, it used to be called Alien and everything. It's like the white, some of these people say, in the last ice age, as the glaciers retreated from northern Europe, the tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed man emerged from the caves of northern Europe as the glaciers receded. And no. According to these scholars like E. Raymond Kapp and Frederick Haberman, tracing our ancestors, all the Europeans migrated up from the Middle East. That's why they even call it Proto-Indo-European languages. Proto-Indo. Yes. Our roots are down there in that part of the world, not up in the caves of northern Europe as the glaciers receded. We migrated up into Europe. But that's the topic maybe for some other show. And when I think of right when I hang up with you, Mike, I'm going to find out, do a little in my phone and try to find out Bob's last name. But he's the most likable guy. He's just the opposite of that Chris Wallace. He was just such a gentleman.
All right,
he was
David,
so good at
David, I got to let you go. We got to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Kelly in Austin. Hello, Kelly. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Mike, is that you singing that little ditty?
No.
Okay, it sounds a little like you. Last night, Joe Biden was not able to pull the stunts that he pulled against Paul Ryan back in 2012.
True.
In that debate. Do you remember that one? He was boorish.
Yes.
Yeah, he was boorish. He interrupted. He laughed. He chortled. And it was one of the most embarrassing or boorish performances I've ever seen. And last night he ran into somebody who ran right over him.
Yeah.
I thought in many cases, in many portions during the debate, Biden looked shocked. I don't think he expected Trump to be that aggressive. No, yeah, the debate there could have been more decorum in the debate, but I have to agree with one of the earlier callers. I'm tired of these scripted, the scripted give and takes that you see, that you've seen in most cases. I was pleased to see Trump come out swinging, and I think a lot of Americans wanted to see that as well. And there were many points during the debate of which I think he got Joe Biden to expose himself and to admit the things that are going to hurt him with his base, and that certainly are going to convince other people who might be sitting on the fence that they don't want to risk casting a vote for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be curious to see how the next debate between Trump and Biden works out. I expect that the moderator, whoever is going to be in that case, or the moderator or moderators, will be even worse than Chris Wallace was. Chris Wallace was a horrendous moderator last night.
Yes.
He was actually part of the debate team. I mean, Trump had to debate Wallace, and he had to debate Biden.
Yes.
So it was a 1-on-2. It was 1-on-2. And yeah, there were a few weak points in Trump's performance. By and large, I think people saw somebody who's going to stand up and fight for them as opposed to fight for the damn deep state.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, that's all I really have to say about it. I don't want to drag this out any further. I mean, I'd got to give Trump a solid A- on that.
Okay.
Biden,
That sounds about right.
Yeah, Biden. I despise Biden. I've despised him for years, and I think his performance last night was exactly about what I expected of him. Anyway, I'm enjoying the comments from your other callers.
All right. Well, thank you for this call here, and we're going to switch over to Pat in Fort Worth. Hello, Pat. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, can you hear me?
I hear you fine, and you're on the air.
Okay, toward the end there.
Oh, actually, I got to put you on hold, Pat. We're at our station break, so don't hang up.
Okay.
I'm going to come right back to you after station identification. And welcome back to our show. Hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. We're talking with Pat in Fort Worth. And Pat, why don't you just take it away?
Okay, towards the end, he said this twice. He said he was going to have weatherization. Well, I know that's a code word, okay? And what it is a part of the International Code Enforcement and Animal Control Corporation. Don't they have an ad valorem tax in California? When I was there, I was young and I lived in military housing, so I don't know, but they come in and they see what of value you have in your house that's taxable, tax you for that. Well, that's
I don't recall seeing that in all the years I lived in California.
Okay, well, that's what they plan on doing. And, they got a lot of reason, they're not getting all the taxes they should, whatever, blah, blah.
Oh, they're getting more than the taxes they should. They're just not getting the taxes they want.
Well, I don't mean them. I mean here. Anyway, if you look up, if you search on the internet the word weatherization /Martinez, you will find eons back 12 years ago. There were over 1.5 million entries. Now the reason is because a lot of people put the same thing in. But just look and see what they plan on doing. If anybody has the courage to look it up.
Okay.
And I know it's still there. I looked last night. So people better get it while it is still there, because we better be looking out for that. Because see, if they come in your house to look at what you got, oh, you're a hoarder. You got food, huh? Oh, you got guns. Oh, well, Granddaddy's, look at that door. It's hanging a little crooked on the hinge, because Grandpa hangs his coats on it, real heavy. And so, hey, they take your house. They will.
Okay.
He had to say that. He said it twice. So he that was code for everybody out there.
All right, Pat, thank you very much. Thank you for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Nick in Clearwater, Florida. Hello, Nick. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. How you doing today, man?
Doing all right.
Listen, all right, man. That last lady's right. I mean, and part of the problem is the people, they'll call the police if the picture's crooked on the wall or if they stub the toe. They'll call the police on their neighbor. So that's going to be a real problem for sure. And as you know, the revolution started long before this, long before the bullets started flying. So I got an idea for Trump. If he really wants to bring some unity around here, he's off on Iran, but he's okay on the pedophiles. But if he really wanted to do something, he could let Leonard Peltier go, because everybody knows that evidence on the AR-15 was not admitted by the forensics experts, and that's a complete fraud.
Yes.
And the three words, and the three words that the government will never say is, we were wrong,
Nope, they never do.
If we get a chance, yeah, it's just that. I'm afraid we're going to have to go through this. Hopefully it'll be as mild as humanly possible. I think it will, And the same goes for some of those Black Panthers. They should be let go, Or we could just put David Duke and Pagliar on the next ticket and see how that goes. Maybe McEnany, the White House press lady.
Yes.
And I got a little brief word for How about Dusty over there in New Jersey? One thing, I got to make a point with him. I think he's great, man. He expresses the exasperation of kind of like, which way do you turn? I mean, no matter which way you turn, it's like a house of mirrors, because a lot of the people wouldn't know the Hegelian dialects from Haagen-Dazs ice cream, unfortunately,
Yes.
All right, man. So nothing I admire more than a beautiful, smart woman that's smart and informed. That goes for Claire, too. I enjoy her a lot. And hey, God bless America, man. I guess that's about it for now, Mike.
All right.
Tell the people one more thing. If they got 10 or $20, I'm a poor boy, but send it on into RBN, because you are a real lifesaver. There's been many days when I lived in Austin, Texas, in the earlier days where there was nothing else to do besides, hang on to you guys and RBM and Genesis. And before that, it was AM radio when I was a little kid, So there's been a constant stream of common sense coming through. It's just some people are interested in it and some people are not, I guess you might say. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Jackie in Arkansas. Hello, Jackie. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. I wanted to first express that I've had the pleasure and the privilege to listen to you for about 10 years now. And I enjoy the logic and rationale that you as a host have shown through these years. That's why I continue to listen.
Well, thank you.
I would like to thank you, Mike, for your dedication. I first want to one of your callers, this has been gnawing on me. They made a statement, and contrary to their statement, I am a Caucasian woman that thinks with my brain and pumps blood with my heart. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear, that I do not think with my heart. But I was listening to yesterday's show, and I think it's a new caller, and he brought up some points, and he was not giving out numbers. He was giving out dates and times, and I do recall hearing it, so I went and double-checked. And there's another caller named Miles that calls in often. But he did say on the 12th, it was 8/12, that would have been August 12th, he did say that Biden was hired by Trump and then he was fired. And then he said something about it takes a crook to catch a crook. So that implies that there's a lot of crooks catching crooks and then you fire crooks to get better crooks. I don't understand that.
Well, politics is a war between one group of criminals and the other group of criminals.
So we just keep getting better criminals?
You're afraid so.
Well, then he disparages this guy Mark's name continuously. He called him myopic, atheist, and when he did call it in, or tried to call in to reclaim his name to defend himself, Miles didn't allow it. And but this guy Mitchell, I think, yeah, Memphis Mitchell, he calls it out, and then Miles says he's a troll. Well, I went and checked to make sure I didn't mishear, because I could be wrong. But I checked, and Miles, sir, you did say these things. And accountability. We have free speech, but we are accountable for what we say in our actions. As so our people that govern us, they also should be accountable, should they not?
Mm-hmm.
But Miles, it starts with you for being accountable, because you told us this guy was a liar and a troll. That's a label. That's defaming that man's name and then Mark's name. But you won't let him, respond to, stand up for himself. So I don't know. And then it just reminds me of what I witnessed last night. It was so appalling. I was ashamed that this is the best our beautiful country has to offer, were these two buffoons on television last night. That's really the best we have, but accountability. And then I hear others calling about the riots, and no, we should not be destroying each other's properties. I'm a former business owner. I worked hard and enjoyed capitalism. However, people are angry because there's no accountability. So maybe everybody's not rioting because it's a Soros thing, and I don't want my business burned down. That's stupid. But if you're protesting Wally World, you're not going to go to Target to protest Wally World, right?
Yes.
So it's just chaos and mayhem. And I appreciate you listening. And I mean, it's just people need to stop the name calling and the labeling, because
I agree.
It's a chilling effect. And I enjoy your show. And like you brought up topics yesterday that people should have been discussing. I'm not that up to date on that Breonna Taylor, but they recanted.
Yes.
So these people are angry, and then they recanted. So what's going to be done now? Who are we going to hold accountable? Part of personal life is not up for debate. What's up for discussion and people to be angry about, because this is our government saying it's okay to murder somebody because the law said so. And I'm like, what happened to my America? What happened to the place I remember growing up? And I'm young. I'm only 54. But what happened? Why aren't we holding people to account? You're saying it's okay for you, the government, to break the law, but we, the people, can't.
Well, they've always had that attitude. They didn't want you to know about it. But I mean, if you look at the history of COINTELPRO, the FBI was breaking the law left and right, and they felt it was, their right to do so. And they continue to do so to this very day. The laws are for the little people.
Why do we allow this then? Would that be the next logical question? Why do we allow this? Because I was talking to one of my neighbors, and we were just talking. She's not as educated as I am, but that means she does think. And I'm like, why do we continue to do this? She goes, because it's the way it's always been. So my next question was, why? Why? Is there not something better? Or is there, I don't know. I don't have the answer.
Well, just because you've hit me in the forehead with a baseball bat every day for the last 2 years is no reason for me to let you do it today.
So, these are just, things maybe to start thinking about. Accountability. We're all accountable. And so I would ask the callers to please be accountable for what you say. And if you don't remember what you said, go listen. I don't think a lot of people listen to what they actually say. And it's like, those words are powerful. Be careful with them.
Yes.
And so, but again, I appreciate your time and your dedication, Mike. And I hope that people, because you bring up great topics in the beginning, and perhaps maybe we should be discussing those topics like we used to,
Or I didn't.
Well,
I
I'm going to
was
be getting.
a
Well, I mean,
listener.
obviously, the debate was the big topic today here, and I'm going to be getting to the other topics. As the phone calls start to fade away. But we do have more callers waiting on the line. So, Jackie, thank you very much for the phone call, and we're going to switch over to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, Michael. Good day to you. Good day to you guys. And aloha. Yeah, Mike. Here's what's on my mind a little bit. At on 9/29 at 4:04 and 20 seconds, a guy called in your show yesterday, and he said that I'm a liar, and he called me what do you call me? I can't even think of the word right now. He was calling me a liar,
troll?
basically.
Yeah.
A hypocrite. Yeah, the troll. He's a troll. And Miles was right on that. And then he's calling Miles. He's calling Miles yellow. He's calling Miles.
Yeah, Miles is waiting in the call list right now. I'm sure he's going to respond to that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's calling Miles yellow and a coward. Miles is anything about that. Miles is probably the most patriotic caller I've ever probably basically heard on radio. The man's a true patriot, loves his country. He loves this United States of America. But to that guy, I believe his name was Mitch, the troll.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, when he was calling and saying these things, he was totally wrong. And, getting back to, he was saying about basically would we call in and tell him, well, I like to, Michael, I want to know. I believe in electoral college, okay? I believe in the electoral college of this country when you get elected for president. I'm sure, they're always bashing on whom, but I don't see him wanting to get rid of the electoral college like these leftists do. And some of these trolls that call in. The man is trying to keep the electoral college, and he's trying to, honor what the presidency is supposed to be about with the Supreme Court. And they'll bash him about that. I mean, last night, Mike, it was a debacle as far as with this crazy nonsense. Wallace was definitely in the tank for Biden, the demon rats.
Yes.
Okay. There's no question about it. And, Trump was, Trump, I can't wait to this debate here in South Florida here, which I'll probably try to attend. And, I can't wait till they bring up this immigration problem with all these illegals. I want to see how Biden's going to handle that, bumbling around with that situation with the illegal immigration. But, getting back to that guy, the troll, calling in, he said I was on the phone. I never heard Miles on the phone more than, maybe 5-6 minutes, Mike. This guy's saying that Miles on the phone. 15.
Sometimes you and Miles tend to go a little long, and it's my fault for letting you go long. But you can get off on a rant. So can Miles. So can a lot of the callers.
Yeah, Mike, and that's exactly right. And that should, it's not nobody's fault. It's not your fault because you let us, you sometimes have breaks and you let us call in and, we get to vent our frustrations, what's going on in the world. And, there's no fault for nobody. We're adults here and, we all have our different viewpoints. Okay. Like Miles said, we all, we might not disagree on everything, but we can agree to disagree. But guess what? Yeah, sometimes I'll call out somebody if they're going to start hitting on me. Like Trump said, I'm not going to be hit. I'm going to hit back. Okay. And, I don't try to be, I'm not nasty. I don't use profanity. I don't call people names if I can help it. I haven't called nobody a yellow dog or a coward or a liar. I try to stay away from that because everybody has their own viewpoints. Like I have said. Yeah, I might have said something about that guy. I don't know what day it was, 7:28 and 15 seconds. Unbelievable, But, getting back to what I really want to talk about, I do want to talk about last night a little bit.
Yes.
With this debate.
Yes.
It was, to me, Trump was being presidential as far as, maybe his demeanor wasn't as far as interrupting, but Biden was ready to crack. And I did believe Trump did save him a few times. But I will say this. Biden looks so weak to me, Mike. How is this guy going to stand up to foreign leaders? He looks like a pansy to me. Biden looks like a bump. It looked like his dentures were getting ready to fall loose. He could have kept going a little longer. I mean, Biden's middle name, I don't know if this means much, but his name is Robinette. His name is Joe Robinette Biden. I never heard that name before. Have you, Mike? Robinette?
No, I haven't. It's probably somewhere in his family history.
Okay, well, I guess suppose they did. Now they're talking about Trump was hitting on Biden about his son. Well, he wasn't hitting on his son Bo Biden. He was hitting on Hunter.
Hunter, yeah.
Well, Hunter Biden, exactly. Well, this guy Hunter's had three women with three different babies from three different women in the last 4 years. So I believe Trump had every right to do that, because if it would have been a Trump kid, the media would be, if the Trump kids had any dirt on him, they would cash them 24 hours a day on the media.
They definitely would.
These media creatures, these swamp creatures. I mean, if Trump's kid has one thing bad, they would be slamming him. I remember when he won against Hillary, or bashing him about Barron Trump. Oh, he's like a mongoloid. He's real big. Don't you remember that, Mike?
I remember that.
Yeah, and so I believe Trump had to do what he had to do. He had to let the American people in this country see what's really going on with these leftist Democrats, these demon rats. Now, I believe that in this next debate, when immigration is going to be brought up, and Antifa is going to probably be brought up again. They're talking about these Proud Boys. Well, what? These people love this country. They're Americans. Now, what Biden did with the Virginia situation, that was horrific. Trump should have slammed him down right then and there. This guy with the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, Byrd and Biden are good buddies. I mean, come on. And, the Democrats are the ones that started the Ku Klux Klan, not the Republicans. I mean, and the only reason they washed it away is because the 64 Civil Rights Bill with Lyndon Baines Johnson. That's the only reason.
Okay.
That's the only reason the blacks vote. The blacks were mainly Republicans at one time, Mike. Yes.
Yes, they were. Okay, Tom, I got to let you go. We got to take a break for commercials. We got more callers waiting on the line, and we will be right back. Welcome back to our show here. And again, the postal address to send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity, cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. And there's no such thing as too small a donation. We're going to go back to the phones here to Miles in Maine. Hello, Miles. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Michael. Hey, what was this woman from Arkansas? What's her name? Jackie?
Yes.
I've never heard her call before. Have you?
Yes, she's called before.
Oh, I've never heard her on the call before, but, she's wrong about what I said. And I really don't understand what is this uproar about the phrase I used. It's a common phrase. It takes a crook to catch a crook. I mean, have you heard that before, Michael?
Yes, I have. Many times.
And so, I use a cliche, a phrase, and all this breaks loose. Now, I'd like to see what the callers think about this. Now, this is ironic.
Well,
to me.
I'd rather the callers kind of stick to the topics, today of which, of course, the debate is first and foremost. And I'm getting emails from people complaining that more and more the callers are talking about themselves rather than the issues of the day.
Well, I'm just trying to reply to somebody who commented about me, like Mitchell would want me to confront Mark, or how did he say? He calls me a coward. That's pretty offensive, because just because I choose to exercise the topic I want to speak to, which I think I have a right to. So I think I should be able to defend myself with these people. I mean, coward, that's pretty strong, pretty abusive language, actually.
Yes.
And, so I'd like to ask the callers, what kind of guy, do these callers think, if you think about this is a guy that's talking about a call, 7 weeks ago? And he's got every minute detailed? What kind of guy does that sound like to these callers?
Mm-hmm. Well, Miles, I'd rather we kind of let this fade into the sunset, and for you to be a little bit more noble than the other guy. And, like I said, we need to focus on the issues of the day, and the callers fighting amongst themselves is not an issue.
No, and I agree. and and I have talked with Mark before. I've let Mark talk, but I just chose that day, like I mentioned, I wanted to get my point across and not take up, my time talking with Mark. But back on the topic of the debate, I mean, Biden looked better than he has in months, but
yes,
I still do not think he was effective. I think the
he
people got
meandered
what
a
they
lot.
wanted from Trump.
Was my observation
Yeah.
when he was trying to construct an argument. He tended to meander and pull together more than a few non sequiturs.
Yeah, and I think Trump did a good job, and I think probably both sides probably took exception with Wallace, if you ask me, because Wallace on several times, just vehemently stated, I'm the commentator, and I'm the moderator.
Yes.
And I think that kind of rubbed people the wrong way. I mean, this moderator was, he was interfering with both speakers, cutting both of them off, and
but more Trump than Biden.
Yeah, and he did a really lousy job, I think, because he was talking over both of their responses. And at times, it was all Biden could do to muster a response. I mean, you could see where he came out, and he was talking insultingly against Trump, and there he is lying again, and this, and it was kind of insulting. And then the Trump people saw Trump, for the reason they support him. Trump come out swinging, and Trump's not going to take this, and he came out firing away at him. And Trump looked pretty good. He looked energized from everything I see. I mean, Trump looked like he'd probably been waiting for this moment for quite a long time.
I imagine so.
So I don't think much really changed. I mean, Trump satisfied his people. I guess Biden satisfied his people, but probably nothing to bring somebody who's undecided to say, that's the guy I really want. And I think, all in all, Trump had a little bit more control over his emotions,
yes,
and his ideas than Biden did. So, I mean, I would have to say, I think Trump probably got a little bit of a bump out of it, and I think Biden, they were just happy with Biden to see him have the ability to communicate. But that's all I've really got to say. I think Trump did all right with the debate. I think Biden did better than expected, but not enough to be presidential. And I think in this upcoming, as we're already seeing in these polls, Trump's numbers are soaring again.
Yep, they certainly are. All right, Miles, I'm going to have to let you go because we have to take another commercial break here. We have more callers waiting on the line, and we will be right back. Welcome back to the show here. And Pat in Fort Worth called back in and suggested that people who want to fight with each other, the callers who want to fight with each other, go to chattango.com and not take up our precious airtime with these little insult wars. And I do have to agree, and we do have to tone it down. I'm getting a lot of emails from people really complaining that that's not what they tune into the show to hear. All right, let's go back to the phones to Cody in Illinois. Hello, Cody. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello. I would agree with that there, Mike. It's getting a little petty out there.
Yes.
But, yeah, talking about petty, I can only handle about 30 minutes of that debate. I'm just offended by the whole system. According to Sons of Liberty, Bradley talks that there's over 1,000 people that run for president, but the whole media, CIA-controlled media, we never hear about them. They give us two guys that should be retired. And probably Biden's only running maybe to try to keep the heat off of him or his son. And all this corruption going on.
This
and
Burisma and China and all the rest of it going on.
Yeah, but it's insulting, what the choices we've got. I mean, I like the fact that Trump hasn't, gave us any major war. Supposedly, who knows? It's really, what's really going on in the Middle East. But the supposedly, there's not a major war. So we'll see. But we've all been enslaved by the 14th Amendment. That's what boggles my mind. Before the 14th Amendment, that was used to bring the blacks in, and then the whites forgot that they were supposed to have the freeman, status, and then we've all become slaves to Washington, D.C.
Yes.
And the gal from Arkansas was talking, well, what can we do with, I think she was talking about Breonna Taylor and all that. We got to get the common law back. The common law is in the Constitution. It says at law and equity, and that is the common law. But back in 1938, there was a Rules Enabling Act that the federal courts used to basically commit treason. They justified merging common law and equity into civil law, and are covering that up. Well, what's the advantage of common law? They don't even teach it properly, apparently, in law school. They just say, oh, it's just a body of, rulings or whatever. Well, it's not entirely true. It's the people coming together in a common law grand jury, which has been obfuscated by the powers that be. And if we can get the sheriffs to get that, realize they have that power to allow, if there's corruption, something going on in your community, you just go to the grand jury. You don't have to go through a prosecutor. And I'm involved with National Liberty Alliance. Have you ever heard of them, Mike?
Just slightly.
National Liberty Alliance, they've got some different court cases trying to bring this to light, and it seems like the judges just last week, they threw one out because, they want you to use an attorney to file it. And see, that all goes against the common law. A group of people can go file a suit, and but they just don't want to give us proper access. But for all the groups that are frustrated with what's going on, instead of burning down our cities, if they would just demand that a common law grand jury was impaneled, go to your sheriff. If you're in I told them in Kentucky the one day they were protesting, get the common law back. Then you don't have to rely on a dishonest prosecutor or this AG right now. I guess he doesn't want to really release the grand jury information or video or whatever. He wants another week. So people are getting frustrated, and then stuff gets burned down, so private businesses have to deal with that. We have to bring the common law back, and we're supposed to have power to the people, not this I guess they call it a Roman civil law, which is part of the problem. They tell you that you don't have natural God-given rights, that you only have the civil rights that we say you have. Well, that's insulting. That is insulting to say that I can't have a jury of 25 people decide if I did something wrong that's only based on statutes that the government is telling, because that's the problem we've got. We've got they've made all this stuff legal, but it's not lawful. Everything that should be illegal is legal, according to the it's. Are you familiar, Mike, with that book that Richard Proctor, PhD, has written on the Constitution?
No, I'm not.
He Saving the Constitution. Well, anyway, he's been interviewed by David Knight several different times. I got a copy of his book. It talks about treaties, how that treaties, in theory, treaties should not violate the Constitution, but apparently the Supreme Court has ruled that treaties can, I guess in a sense, violate it. It says Supreme Court decided the powers reserved to the states by the 10th Amendment would be given to the national government by a treaty in this Missouri v. Holland case. So there's just all these perversions of the people's sovereignty, and I don't know. Common law, I think, is a good way to possibly, to bring back some rights without a civil war. It's the only way I can see it right now, because everything's so far gone. So I just urge everybody
it may not be possible to bring back common law without a civil war, unfortunately, is the situation we seem to be in right now. And I, for one, would hate to see that, but at this point, it does look like it's a very real possibility.
Yeah, okay. We've got the communists, people in there. But anyway, thanks a lot, Michael. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
All right. Thanks a lot, Cody. We're going to switch over to Joe in California. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hello, Mike. If I may begin, I have a bone to pick with a few of the callers. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Actually, while I was waiting on hold, something very original came to me, and I'd like to get it out there for all the listeners to hear. can't we all just get along?
That's incredibly original.
I think that's, thank you. Mike, first of all, on the debate, Biden is just a nasty, entitled career politician.
Yes.
That's how I see this man, who
That's
resents being asked the tough question. You ask him the tough question, he feels like he's indignant. He's offended. And not to mention, he looked ancient last night. I thought he looked like he was 110 years old. He made Mr. Burns of The Simpsons look young and hearty.
Yes.
Yes. So, but I just thought I didn't like all the interrupting by Trump, but I thought some cases it had to be done. But I didn't like the question that Chris Wallace brought up about white supremacy. And what I don't understand, Mike, chief reason for my call is I like Trump's domestic agenda. Basically, I don't like his foreign policy. I'm very upset with him with what he's doing in Syria. If he has the autonomy to act anyway, I don't think he does. I think higher powers are controlling the foreign policy. But his choice of Amy Barrett was excellent. I don't know about Gorsuch and Kavanaugh. Maybe it's a little too early to make a judgment, but I think this Barrett woman, I think she'll be she'll decide cases in the mode of her former employer Scalia. But I contrast that with the other choices, his other personnel choices in the administration that I just don't understand. He picks these people who don't share his beliefs. So I don't know what you think about that. I think you've commented on that quite a few times.
Yeah, probably more than I needed to, but anything else for you today?
Yeah, I'm wondering too, on Trump's judgment, why would he? I mean, he has to know. I mean, I've read two of Bob Woodward's books, The Commanders, written about the run up to the first Gulf War, and the book about the CIA, where he allegedly had that deathbed interview with the former DCI William Casey, where they say he may have made up the quotes. But why would he grant Woodward the interview to begin with? I mean, where is his judgment? I know what kind of person Bob Woodward is. I wouldn't get within 10 feet of him.
My understanding is that a lot of the people around Trump pressured him to do the interview, that he didn't want to do it initially. But Trump keeps forgetting that not everybody that's around him is on his side. And again, I think the biggest strategic mistake that he made coming into office was trying to keep all these Obama holdovers. And instead, he should have just scraped out the administration like a hollow gourd, like a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, and said, we're going to start from scratch, and we're going to hire a whole bunch of people from outside the Beltway to do the work.
Mike, are you aware if the second or third debate will have that same format that started in '92, where they have these idiotic audience members asking questions where they can easily have a plant of one or two people ask Trump a very uncomfortable question? Are they going to have that format again?
The next debate is going to be a town hall format.
Terrific. Okay, so they're going to be plants in that
course
audience.
They are.
And they're going to be selected. Right.
Yeah, and they hand them.
Last thing, Mike, I just wanted to direct people to Dr. Mercola's website. He's written some very excellent articles, columns about the vaccine. One of his most recent articles was an interview with Wakefield. He just came out with a new documentary called 1986: The Act, which provided liability protection for Big Pharma. 1986, The Act. And Richie Allen did an excellent interview last night with a German, a very, very reputable German scientist who's come out with a new book called Corona False Alarm. I think his last name was Bakhti. Excellent interview. So I would urge people to listen to that. Thank you, Mike.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Mitchell in Memphis. Hello, Mitchell. Welcome to the show. Please be very gentle.
Hey, Mike, are you there?
I'm here. You're on the air.
Hey, Mike, real quick, that guy mentioned Dr. McCullough, and that's a very, very good source. Dr. McCullough is probably one of the best naturopaths out there. Another caller referenced Proctor. Proctor comes on somewhat of a regular basis on David Knight show, and that's a good watch also. There was
Okay.
a wonderful call there, and this is the old Mike I missed. That guy was talking about common law. I think he mentioned a date there, 1938. And there's been a whole long train of events, if you will, of key dates where the government's just completely off the rails. And I'm going to check into what he was talking about because that's good information, and I like that direction. So I want to get something straight. I'm not a troll. And that's becoming sort of this cheap shot thing, like calling someone a conspiracy theorist or a racist or
Well, we're gonna start
misogynist
tamping. We're gonna start tamping down on that because I'm getting a lot of emails saying that this is not what people are tuning into our show to hear.
Well, and I called in because of it, because I'm tired of it also. I'm gonna get off the phone here. I just want to say I've got it loaded. The two of those videos that I was talking about, I've edited this out, and I've got these guys dead to right saying exactly what I said they said. I am not a troll, okay?
Okay.
So the point is, I've got these loaded. I'm not going to play it because I don't want to waste everybody's time because people want to talk about other things in the election and stuff. If you could, I mean, we can talk about this later, but I really would like to talk about hard issues instead of all this personalized stuff. But what I said about these guys was correct, and I'm not lying, and I'm not a troll. Now, I'm gonna let you go, and perhaps I can call you in the next couple of days. Okay, Mike?
All right, that would be fine. Thank you very much. Thank you for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Chance in West Virginia. Hello, Chance. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, hello, Michael. Your last caller has a point. We should stick to the news.
Yes.
And you know, Michael, I feel vindicated. When I called in last week and I said how easily a show can go sideways when people bicker, it becomes cheap, silly, and superficial. Apparently, a lot of people agreed with me. It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. So we should keep a lid on that. Stick to the facts and get out the news. And Michael, as far as I'm concerned about the debates, I think it was a total embarrassment to the American people and to the country and to the rest of the world if they were watching it. To watch these men act the way they do, vying for the most powerful political seat in the world, it was a total embarrassment. And that's all I have to say, Michael, and thank you for taking my call.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to switch over to W in Texas. Hello, W. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. If I wanted to vote for a septuagenarian white dude, I would hopefully wanted to vote for Jesse Ventura, but he's not on the menu. So unfortunately, these are the only two choices. But I just wanted to say both of these candidates, and the reason I'm saying that is really because both of these candidates were like swooning and like flirting with vaccines. One was saying, you know, I'll have one ready in a month. You know, I'll take her out in a month. The other one was saying, well, you don't know what you were doing. You don't know what you would do with that vaccine. It was really sick. So I mean, both candidates, and I've heard it said that, you know, Trump is kind of playing the long game and not really going to play that if he's reelected. But I mean, Biden said he would do a national mask mandate. But just the fact that both of these candidates and people are still so misinformed and disinformed that the key word hydroxychloroquine was not brought up the entire night just shows you where we're at. Like, they're just flirting with this vaccine idea, and it's not a good look. And lastly, there's a show on Prime, on Amazon Prime. It's called Utopia. And if you watch this 8-episode series, it is literally like looking in a mirror of this entire year dealing with this disease. It's really interesting. So you all out there, check out this show called Utopia, and it's talking about vaccines and pandemic type situation. That's it.
All right. Thanks an awful lot here. We're going to start with W in Texas. And W, I may have to take you through the commercial break, but what's on your mind? Oh, that was W. All right. Then we're switching to Alan in Texas. And Alan, I may have to take you through the commercial break. What's on your mind?
Yeah, just a quick observation. It seemed to me that most of the close-up camera shots were for Biden, where he looked directly into the camera.
Yes.
And most of the shots of Trump were distance shots, and I would call that subliminal.
Yeah, it is definitely a method to put the emphasis on one person over the other in a video or motion picture presentation. I had somebody else write on in and say that the problem with Donald Trump wasn't so much the makeup and the hair, is that he was lit differently than Biden. Biden had a nice flat light to hide his age and everything, and Trump had more of a raking light that made him look a little less Trumpian.
Yes, I agree. I think it was entirely subliminal. And I think that probably affected a lot of people.
All right, Alan, stay on the line. I got to put you on hold. We're going to take our last commercial break.
Well,
Back with the last.
got.
All right, then the phone lines are open. 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our show, the last segment of our program today here, and back to the political news. Little article coming out of UNS.com. Who's funding the shady ballot harvesting schemes that we're seeing exposed every day? And they're talking about, the author is saying he learned about an insane ballot harvesting scheme tied to a deep-pocketed liberal advocacy group called the Center for Tech and Civic Life, subsidized by Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg, Google, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, and eBay former chairman Pierre Omidyar's Democracy Fund. Okay. Now, apparently over in Arizona, Governor Doug Ducey is demanding that the Secretary of State, Hobbs Katie, actually Katie Hobbs, basically shut down their hotline, which has been processing voter registrations without the need for an application or a signature. I mean, that opens up all kinds of nefarious ways of cheating the election here. Now, apparently, conservative talk radio host and grassroots activist Vicki McKenna blew the whistle after hearing ads played during her daily show on 1310 WIBI. Last week on the radio program, we played Biden campaign ads. They were all about something called Democracy in the Park. It was an advertisement about how Madison, Wisconsin would have 200 parks hosting ballot harvesting events. The ads were punctuated by disclosure they were paid for Joe Biden for president. Okay. A lot of Democrats who are very unhappy with the country as it is, and they seek this socialist utopia, which nobody's ever actually succeeded in creating in all of history here. But they're actually starting to talk about secession, about splitting the country in two along party lines, where the red states would be one country and the blue states would be another country. Now, in his farewell address, George Washington explained that union should be regarded as the palladium of our political safety and prosperity. Union is of such benefit and disunion so harmful, he added, there will always be reason to distrust the patriotism of those who in any quarter may endeavor to weaken its bands. Washington warned against those who, in seeking disunion, misrepresent the opinions and aims of others. You cannot shield yourself too much against the jealousies and heartburnings which spring from those misrepresentations. They tend to render alien to each other those who ought to be bound together by fraternal affection. Okay, getting into COVID-19, it's now coming on out that the soon-to-arrive COVID vaccine will require 2 shots taken 60 days apart from the same vaccine maker. And, of course, technocrats are going to save the day with more technology to track everyone everywhere and make sure they got both of their shots. Getting to be a real mess out there. Okay, apparently over in New York City, they're starting mass patrols that will find people refusing to wear face covering. Okay, there's the music here. Stay tuned for Steve Elkins, who's taking over the microphone for John Stadmiller tonight. Please spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please, 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 please donate. We need your help. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.